electric field due to a charged spherical shell. That is using Gauss law. Now we have found out what is the electric field due to a point charge. For example, this is the source charge Q. I want to find out the electric field here, so I kept a small charge, test charge Q here. Finally I got the expression 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught source charge Q divided by R squared, and it doesn't depend on the test charge. Electric field does not depend on the test charge, and because it is a source which is creating the electric field, because E is equal to F by Q. So even if you apply Coulomb's inverse square law, which is F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R squared, when we go for F by Q, this Q gets cancelled. So that Q comes here. So that becomes the electric field. So only source charge appears here. So can't you apply the same Coulomb's inverse square law to find out the electric field due to a charged spherical shell? No, you can't apply. That is this Coulomb's inverse square law is applied only for point charges. The size of the charged body should be very small. If the charges are distributed over a spherical shell, then it is not so easy to apply Coulomb's inverse square law. Okay, now we will use the Gauss law, and let us remind the Gauss law once. Now flux through a surface, open surface like this, if the electric field lines are passing like this, and if the normal to the surface is like this, and this is the direction of electric field, and if this is theta, you know that flux through this surface is E delta S cos theta. Electric field area into cosine of the angle between them. It is the dot product, E dot delta S. And if you want to know what is the flux through the full surface, for example, if you have a charged body and it will show electric field lines around it radially going out if it is a positively charged body. If you enclose it within a Gaussian surface, if charge Q is Q, charge is Q, and if you enclose it within a Gaussian surface, then flux through the entire Gaussian surface, closed surface, is 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed within the Gaussian surface. These are the two theorems. Now, you can use this formula in order to get this phi. How? Consider a small area here. Find out the flux through this using this formula, and apply such areas everywhere on the surface of this. Add it, and finally you will get this. That is the proof for Gauss law. Now we will use the same concept to find out the electric field due to a spherical charged shell, metal shell, right? It is a conductor. Okay, I will use a different paper. Okay, right. Now let me consider a charged spherical shell which is hollow inside. Charges always come and reside on the outer surface. So this is the charged spherical shell. So I will take a charged spherical shell like this. It is hollow inside. Let its radius be r. Say it is positively charged. So we have to decorate this diagram one by one, and we are going to do so many things here. So positively charged body. Okay. Now, so I can cover the heading because you have come to know what we are going to derive now. So now select a point at a distance from the center of the spherically charged shell. So select a point somewhere here, so that I want to find out what is the electric field here at this point P. So what I will do is, so that distance is r from the center O. This point is lying at a distance r from the center O. Now what I will do is, in order to find out what is the electric field here, now I can't apply Coulomb's inverse square law. Why? Because if you place a test charge here, unit positive charge say, then these charges repel it like this, these charges repel it like this, and these charges repel it like this, and moreover these charges are very close, they are little far away, these are far away, and these are much far away. So in the Coulomb's inverse square law we get a distance r. So which distance we have to substitute, whether it is the distance from these charges or these charges or these charges. So Coulomb's inverse square law can be applied only for point charges, where you can measure the distance from point to point charge. But here it is distributed charge. You can't find out the distance so easily. It is different for different charges distributed on the surface of the spherical conductor. Now for that reason I have to go for the help of Gauss law. So now take a point P, and using the point P, which is at a distance r, small r from the center, draw a sphere with radius small r, so that it encloses this spherical conductor from all the sides. So I will imagine a spherical conductor like this, and this is my Gaussian surface now. So this is Gaussian surface which encloses the full spherical conductor. Now electric field lines, you know the properties of electric field lines. Electric field lines are always normal to the surface of the conductor, right? They never cross, they never enter the conductor. So they should be like this, electric field lines. I will draw one more electric field line like this here. They should be normal and they should pass through all this Gaussian surface, spherical Gaussian surface. Sir, why did you select only sphere? Why can't you have assumed that this source charge, spherical conductor, charge conductor is put inside a cube? If you consider a cube, problem is the surface of that cube lies not at the same distance from all the points on the surface of the charge conductor. Whereas here, if you imagine a sphere, this surface of the charge conductor is at equal distance from the Gaussian surface. Here is also at equal distance from the Gaussian surface. Everywhere it is common. So if the summation becomes easier. You are going to have summation now later on. Okay, now what is the next step? So from where did we start? Starting from a charged body of radius r, positively charged, say O is the center. Select a point P at a distance small r from the center of the charged body, because I want to know what is the electric field here. And with point P as one of the point, complete a sphere of radius small r so that it encloses the charged body completely. Now imagine a surface here of area delta S like this, because if I want to find out the flux through the entire Gaussian surface, I have to first start from a small surface. If you have a football, then what is the surface area of the football? Take a small piece in the football. It is a pentagon or hexagon in shape. Take that area and find out the area of the small piece of football. Then count how many number of such surfaces are there in the football and multiply it by the area of one surface. So number of pentagon surfaces on the football into the number of such surfaces, that gives the area of the football. So for that reason, in order to spread this throughout, I will take a small area. Now where is the electric field? Electric field is normal to this surface. Where is the normal to the surface now? Electric field is normal. Where is the normal? Normal is also in the same direction. So can I write theta is equal to 0? Electric flux through any given surface. If the surface is like this, okay, sorry, I will take the same diagram. Normal is like this and electric field lines are like this. You know this. And if this is theta, then normal is here, then E delta S cos theta. You can write the formula. So same way, this is the surface area. Electric field and normal are in the same direction. Theta is 0, cos 0 is 1. So what is the flux through this small area? Shall I write it here? The flux through this small area is E delta S cos 0. That is equal to E delta S. That is the flux through the small area. Now if you want to find out the flux through the entire Gaussian surface, how many electric field lines are passing through the entire Gaussian surface? I have to go for the summation of this. So flux through the entire Gaussian surface is the summation of delta phi. That is equal to summation of E delta S. But when you go for the summation, please remember here that when you take an area here, when you take such an area here, here, the distance from the spherical body doesn't change. It is the same. So electric field, how can it change then? Only the direction of electric field will change, but its magnitude doesn't change on the Gaussian surface. So wherever you take the area, E is a constant. So can I take it outside the summation? So total flux, which is the summation of all delta phi, is equal to, I will write this formula, E into sigma delta S. What is sigma delta S? Area of this, area of this, area of this, area of this, everywhere added. Suppose in your classroom, suppose there are some 75 mosaics, because in a classroom floor will be usually having tiles or mosaics like this. Calculate the area of one mosaic and multiply it by the number of mosaics or tiles. You will get the total area. So similarly, take a small area and spread it over the full surface. You will get the area. So what is this sigma delta S? So flux through the entire Gaussian surface here is equal to E into the surface area of this sphere. Surface area of any sphere is 4 pi r square. Now which r? Whether it is this r or this r. You see, this type of areas are spread over the surface of this Gaussian sphere. So you should get the area of Gaussian sphere. That means this radius 4 pi r square. So one equation. Usually in the examination under pressure, there is a chance that you will write this r as capital R. That is different. But we are going to use the capital R also later. Okay, now we will write an expression for surface charge density. You know what is surface charge density? Surface charge density is surface charge density. We use the symbol for that as sigma. It is the charge distributed over an area. For example, we have population density. What do you mean by population density? It is the amount of people or number of people living per square kilometer charged by area. Now if you come back to this, let Q be the charge distributed over the spherical shell. What is the area of the spherical shell? In which area this is distributed? That is 4 pi capital R square, because the area of this is, and these charges are not distributed over the Gaussian surface, they are distributed over the spherical conductor. So area is 4 pi this capital R square. So shall I write the equation for sigma? Sigma is charge, Q amount of charges distributed over an area of 4 pi capital R square. So don't confuse this R and this R. Remember, this R comes into picture when you complete the area by taking small areas on the Gaussian surface. So its surface area is 4 pi R square, sigma delta S. Whereas charge by area, if you want to write, the Q amount of charges are distributed over the spherical conductor. So its area 4 pi capital R square. So sigma is Q by 4 pi R square. This formula is needed for us. Similarly, Q is equal to sigma, I will bring this here, into 4 pi R square. This is also true. Now we have found out the flux through the entire Gaussian surface. How did you find it out? The flux through the entire Gaussian surface? By taking the flux through a small area and summing that area or the flux throughout the Gaussian surface. We got this formula, equation 1, this one. Now I want to find out the flux through the entire Gaussian surface using Gauss law. Gauss has given you a very simple formula. Flux through the entire Gaussian surface is 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge within the Gaussian surface. So it is very easy. It is like a wholesale deal. You will get the flux through the entire Gaussian surface. You need not go for all these chill-repel fluxes and summing it over the full area and summation and all. All at once, this gives the formula for the flux. So flux through the entire Gaussian surface which encloses the charge Q is 1 by epsilon naught times Q. But what is Q? Here we have a formula. So substitute that Q. Phi is equal to, Q is sigma 4 pi R square divided by epsilon naught. This gives the entire flux again. So this equation 1 and equation 2, though they are looking different, they say the same. Flux through the entire Gaussian surface, flux through the entire Gaussian surface. So comparing 1 and 2. So from equations 1 and 2, what you will get? Left hand sides are same, phi and phi. Right hand side should be same. E into 4 pi R squared must be equal to sigma 4 pi R squared divided by epsilon naught. 4 pi gets cancelled with 4 pi here. So what is E? So finally, what is our aim now? What we are doing, what you are going to find out? We are trying to get the electric field due to this spherical conductor here, outside at a point outside the spherical conductor. So that is our aim. So write the equation for electric field now. What is E equal to? E equal to, what is this? Sigma capital R squared divided by epsilon naught R squared. Sigma capital R squared divided by epsilon naught, this R squared here. Now substitute for sigma once again from this equation. Q by 4 pi R squared. That is equal to. Now remaining terms I will write it here. Capital R squared epsilon naught R square. That I have written. Remaining part is this one, sigma. Sigma is Q divided by 4 pi capital R square. Capital R squared gets cancelled. Remaining is this, I will take it like this, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. Now thank God this formula is same as the electric field due to a point charge. That also gives the same formula, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. Okay, so this is equal to E. Okay, and if you are asked to write this in the vector form, okay, I'll write it in the vector form here. The formula is same as the field due to a point charge, so we need not worry. You can write it here. Electric field E is equal to vector 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by distance square. See, finally which r is remaining? It is the distance from the point to the center of the sphere. That is very important. Finally small r will come into picture, not capital R. So distance from the center to the point. So if this is vector, I'll write r cap, where r cap is a unit vector in the direction of electric field. So finally you can write it in the vector form. And remember, so electric field at this point depends on the distance, not on the size of the spherical conductor. That doesn't come here at all. Capital R doesn't come here at all. That means if the charges are distributed over a spherical conductor, the electric field at any point outside is same as if these charges are concentrated at the single point. That means if all these charges were concentrated here, what electric field we would have got here, it is same as the charges are distributed here, and the same electric field is obtained here also. So very important derivation using Gauss law. Thank you.